Samuel William Yorty, October 1, 1909 – June 5, 1998, was an American politician from Los Angeles, California. He served as a member of the United States House of Representatives and the California State Assembly, but he is most remembered for his turbulent 3 terms as the 37th mayor of Los Angeles from 1961 to 1973. The colorful Mayor Sam earned numerous nicknames from both admirers and detractors, such as Travelin Sam, Airplane Sam, Shoot from the Lips Sam, the Maverick Mayor, Mad Sam Yorty, Scrappy Sam, Suitcase Sam, Saigon Sam, and the Reform Republican. Early life. Born in Lincoln, Nebraska, to Frank Patrick and Johanna Egan Yorty, he began his political education as the son of a Democratic father in a Republican state, with a mother who also showed a strong interest in politics. The family moved to Southern California when Yorty completed high school. He retained his Midwestern inflection and was known for pronouncing the city's name as Los Angeles. Quote, Yorty enrolled at Southwestern University and later the University of California at Los Angeles, working for a time at the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. He was admitted to the bar in 1939. Elected as a Democrat to the California State Assembly in 1936, Yorty established himself as a politician with integrity, but watched his popularity plummet when he reported a bribery attempt on a pending bill. Yorty advocated state ownership of public utilities and strong labor unions, showing a liberal approach to politics. His support of the Republicans in Spain's civil war against General Francisco Franco, and his fight against using the California Highway Patrol to end labor strikes helped earn him support of the local Communist Party United States of America organization. That support haunted Yorty in 1938, when he was branded a communist by Folsom Prison inmate Arthur Kent during testimony before the California Un-American Activities Committee. Kent, who claimed to have been a local membership chairman of the Communist Party, proved to be untrustworthy and Yorty was vindicated. That episode, plus the refusal of the local Communist Party to endorse him for mayor of Los Angeles that year, began a shift of Yorty's political beliefs, losing a 1940 bid for U.S. Senator, when he ran unsuccessfully as a liberal internationalist against isolationist Republican and longtime incumbent Hiram Johnson. Yorty left politics during World War II to serve in the United States Army Air Corps in the Pacific Theater, attaining the rank of captain in the intelligence branch. He resumed his assembly seat after his discharge. He was elected to the United States House of Representatives in 1950 and was re-elected in 1952, but again lost his race for the U.S. Senate in 1954. In that special election for the 2 years remaining of the term of Richard M. Nixon, Yorty received 1,788,071 votes, 45.5%. to Senator Thomas H. Kuchel's 2,090,831, 53.2%. Kuchel, a liberal Republican, had been appointed to the seat in 1953 by then-Governor Earl Warren when Nixon became vice president. Mayoralty. In 1960, Yorty endorsed fellow Californian Richard Nixon over fellow Democrat Massachusetts Senator John F. Kennedy for president. This angered many in the Democratic Party. Although municipal elections in California are nonpartisan, the resources of the party were directed against him when he ran for mayor of Los Angeles the following year against incumbent Republican Norris Paulson. The bitter campaign was marked by Paulson's claim that Yorty was backed by members of organized crime, a comment that caused Yorty to sue Paulson for $3.3 million. Yorty prevailed, however, running as a populist. He railed against a little ruling clique of downtown interests, and promised to revise the city charter, which had become unwieldy with the city's growth from a quiet West Coast town to the third largest metropolis in the country. He was a strong advocate of expanding the freeway network. Perhaps his most popular promise, however, was to end residents' sorting of wet and dry garbage. Dry garbage was typically burned in backyard incinerators, contributing to the city's notorious smog. More accurately, there had been two collections independent of each other. Wet garbage, including food waste, and bottles and cans. Dry combustible trash was burned in incinerators until Los Angeles County ordered an end to backyard trash burning in 1957, when Paulson was still mayor. After that, there were three collections: wet garbage, bottles and cans, and dry trash and garbage, all independent of each other. He made good on his waste management and highway promises, and oversaw the emergence of Los Angeles as a major city. He was a backer of the Los Angeles Music Center, business districts such as Little Tokyo, and of the Los Angeles Zoo. He also made frequent appearances on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, which boosted his popularity. At the same time, he was a passionate anti-communist, a critic of the civil rights movement, and an outspoken opponent of desegregation, busing, and feminism. In 1965, Yorty was re-elected over Democratic Congressman James Roosevelt, son of the late President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Roosevelt's campaign put up hundreds of billboards, handed out bales of bumper stickers and buttons, appeared often on television with 15-minute and half-hour shows, plus so many other spots that his electronic omnipresence became irksome. Roosevelt's campaign cost around $450,000. Yorty spent less than half that amount. Roosevelt called Yorty a stooge of Democrat Jesse Big Daddy Unruh, the controversial California Assembly Speaker. He attacked Yorty's membership in a segregated private club, endlessly criticized Yorty for having a bad temper. Yorty was certainly irascible, but he held his temper throughout the campaign, seeming almost cool in contrast to Roosevelt. He pointed to the fact that he had cut city taxes, streamlined city government, and improved garbage pickups. He outpolled Roosevelt 392,775 to 247,313. Picked up 57.9% of the vote to Roosevelt's 36.5%, with the rest going to 6 other candidates on the ballot. Although he was the first mayor to have a female deputy, Marion W. La Follette, and the first to have a racially integrated staff, his appeal did not extend to most of the city's large African American population. Disaffection with high unemployment and racism contributed to the Watts riots of August 11 to 17, 1965. Yorty's administration was criticized for failing to cooperate with efforts to improve conditions in neighborhoods such as Watts, but he accused other leaders of raising false hopes and of action by communist agitators, having always categorically rejected any criticism of the city's police or fire departments. After the riots, Yorty challenged incumbent Democratic Governor Edmund G. Pat Brown in the 1966 gubernatorial primary. He received 981,088 votes, 37.6%, to Brown's 1,355,262 ballots, 51.9%. Yorty's politics shifted toward the right. This change became evident when he joined the election night celebration of Brown's successful Opponent: Ronald W. Reagan. Yorty went to Vietnam to support the American troops and was thereafter dubbed Saigon Sam by his liberal opponents. In 1967, Yorty was forced to deal with scandal after the Los Angeles Times published an expose on the city's Harbor Commission. The investigation led to the indictment and conviction of 4 city commissioners for bribery, while another was found dead in Los Angeles Harbor. The newspaper, which had long feuded with the mayor, noted that all of the individuals had been appointed by Yorty. Support among the white middle classes fell after he was embroiled in the controversy following the 1968 assassination of Robert F. Kennedy at the Ambassador Hotel after outraging prosecutors in the Kennedy case by freely commenting on the evidence. Ironically, Yorty's place in the history books had been assured when Kennedy had told his supporters only moments before he was shot, "Mayor Yorty has just sent me a message that we've been here too long already." During the fall of 1968, Yorty refused to endorse Democratic presidential candidate Hubert Humphrey. The strategy behind this approach was that Yorty would be rewarded with a cabinet post by Richard Nixon for his non-support of Humphrey, but Nixon declined to offer him a position in the new administration. Continuing their adversarial relationship, The Times published an editorial cartoon by Paul Conrad lampooning this failure, and Yorty responded with an unsuccessful lawsuit. In the 1969 mayoral primary, his popularity slipped well below that of Los Angeles City Council member Tom Bradley. The ensuing campaign between Yorty and Bradley, directed for Yorty by Henri Salvatore, proved one of the most bitter in the city's history. Yorty painted his opponent as a dangerous radical, alternately of the Black Power or communist revolutionary varieties. The charges were not plausible since Bradley had spent much of his career in the Los Angeles Police Department, but they resonated among fearful voters, and Yorty was re-elected. Despite winning another 4 years, Yorty showed obvious signs of boredom in his position. He ran again for governor in 1970, but was handily defeated for the Democratic nomination by State Assembly Speaker Jesse Unruh, 1,602,690, 61.4%, to 659,494, 26.3%. Unruh in turn was defeated by Reagan, who secured his second term as governor by a narrower margin than his 1966 majority over Pat Brown. Yorty began to leave all but the most important decisions to his staff. After spending almost 40% of his time away from Los Angeles during the last half of 1971, Yorty announced on November 15 of that year that he was running for the Democratic nomination for president in 1972. Yorty had received strong support from influential New Hampshire publisher William Loeb, stating that President Nixon had caved in to anti-war senators and that he had never agreed with the government's policy on the war. In response to what he would do, he noted that Dwight Eisenhower had helped bring an end to the Korean War by threatening to use nuclear weapons. However, Yorty received just 6% of the vote in the New Hampshire primary and was never able to gain any momentum in his bid for the nomination. He finally ended his bid shortly before the California primary in June 1972, asking voters to support Humphrey because of the radical nature of anti-Vietnam War candidate George McGovern. Yorty picked up the support of a young Louisiana delegate to the Democratic Convention, Louis E. Woody Jenkins, who subsequently served for 28 years in his state's legislature but lost 3 bids for the United States Senate, the last as a Republican. After McGovern won the Democratic nomination for president, Yorty began to support Republicans. Yorty's previous race-baiting demagoguery came back to haunt him in 1973, when Bradley soundly defeated him in a rematch of their 1969 race. In 1974, he ran forth in another bid for governor in the Democratic primary, far behind then-Secretary of State Jerry Brown, son of Pat Brown. Later career. After leaving office, Yorty hosted a talk show on KCOP-TV for 5 years, later complaining that he was cancelled in favor of the lowbrow television program Hee Haw. After leaving work on the small screen, he returned to the political arena, but failed in a comeback bid for the Republican nomination for the U.S. Senate in 1980, having been defeated by the conservative Paul Gann, who in turn was badly beaten by incumbent Liberal Democrat Ellen Cranston. In 1981, Yorty failed again in a bid to unseat Bradley. Afterwards, Yorty retired from public life. Aside from being a rainmaker for several law firms, he suffered a stroke on May 24, 1998, then contracted pneumonia. After treatment at the Encino-Tucson Regional Medical Center, he was sent to his Studio City, California home, where he died on the morning of June 5 on the 30th anniversary of Robert Kennedy's assassination and 3 months before Yorty's old rival, Tom Bradley, died. Prior to his death, Yorty had told his wife that he wanted no funeral service. Legacy. In 1997, a survey of urban historians and political scientists conducted by Melvin Holley at the University of Illinois at Chicago rated Yorty the third worst U.S. big city mayor since 1960. See also: 82nd United States Congress, 83rd United States Congress, membership discrimination in California social clubs, Norris P. Olson, Marguerite P. Justice, the second woman, and the first black woman to be named to the Los Angeles Police Commission, appointed by Yorty. Tom Bradley. Watts riots. City Council President L. E. Timberlake, often the acting mayor while Yorty was away from the state. Further reading. Ainsworth, ed. 1966. Maverick Mayor. A biography of Sam Yorty of Los Angeles, Garden City, New York. Doubleday. Allen. Benjamin John Bridgman. 2000. Amigo Sam. Mayor Sam Yorty and the Latino Community of Los Angeles. Harvard University. Bollins. John Constantinus. Gaia. Grant B. 1973. Yorty. Politics of a Constant Candidate. Pacific Palisades, California. Palisades publishes. Time. Mayor Yorty cover. September 2, 1966. Yorty's chortle. Time magazine. April 16, 1965. Author. Jennifer. Sam Yorty dead at 88. CNN. June 5, 1998. Meyerson, Harold. Sam Yorty. 1909 to 1998. LA Weekly. June 12, 1998. 1. Pearson, Richard. Combative politician Sam Yorty dies at 88. The Washington Post. June 7, 1998. Sam Yorty at Find a Grave. Oral history interview on California politics. 2. City of Los Angeles archives for the Yorty administration. 3.